Anyway, getting back to Brother Paul's question, how to stay in that place of being our dreams already experienced. How to stay in that place of being our dreams already experienced. Raising our vibration to that place of being, holding that space without holding too tight. How to be in faith without doubt, as the two can't exist together. Well, let's start at the end, because I don't believe your last sentence is strictly correct. Hey, Sister Maria. Hey, Susie. Yes, exactly, Susie. The Libra homebody is a little daunted by the prospect of being 4 months in a suitcase. But that's how we grow, moving out of our comfort zone and into expressions of self that are more expansive. So I don't believe it's true that faith and doubt can't exist together. I can definitely in myself maintain a deep level of strong faith and still experience all sorts of doubts, some of which are fleeting and some of which are pervasive. Doubts are very, very normal and natural, and I don't believe they are an indication that we have lost our faith. Because what I believe is that what we are feeling and what we are experiencing, what we are having mental thoughts about, is more a representation of what we are releasing rather than what we are being. So for me, when doubts are arising, it is an indication that I am triggering a process of purification. I'm actually expanding myself out of my comfort zone and thus pushing these doubts to the surface, and different sorts of fears and various levels of discomfort for that matter. They all sort of run hand in hand. So I encourage you all, my friends, not to judge yourself as non-confident, or whatever that word is. It's not disconfident. Whatever not having confidence is, or losing your faith just because you're experiencing a lot of doubt. I think we're all experiencing huge amounts of doubt at the moment. There is a huge purge of various fear and low self-worth safety issues at the moment, as we're going through a societal-wide crumbling of the structures that we have relied on for so long. It is incredibly normal and understandable that you are feeling doubtful at this time. You have doubts about your financial security, you have doubts about your health security, you have doubts about your government honouring your sovereign right to self-autonomy here on this planet, right? All sorts of doubts are going to be present because many of them are basically, founded in a reality that is unfolding in front of us, right? All of this stuff is crumbling, it is changing, it is getting intense, it is feeling edgy, right? So it's completely logical to have doubts, and it is still very, very possible to have a deep level faith that we will move through this process in a way that is fundamentally beneficial to us all. So that's the process, right, of managing our doubts so that they don't overly influence us. They don't create too intense a stress response that then shuts us down and creates contraction in our energetic fields and puts us into a mentality where we are over emphasizing the potential threats to us, right? Because when we go into stress, threats become much more important to us, and we start to fixate on what feels threatening, and thus what you focus on you feed, and then you start to manifest these potential threats into your life, and they influence you more because you are focusing on them, and thus you create a situation that you feared. So the point is to be willing to feel the doubts without trying to push them away, or without becoming overly influenced by them, right? To just recognize that these are fragments of energy from your past coming up to clear and to be released. And so this is a constant, consistent dance that we have with these impressions that are arising from within us, right? Sometimes it's coming up like a sick feeling in our stomach. Sometimes it's coming up like a dread in our heart. Sometimes it's coming up like a whole heap of anxiety type, fear-based looping thoughts. Sometimes it's coming up as a combination of all. And what's behoven upon us is to breathe through that, is to consciously choose to reset our nervous system, right? To regulate our nervous system so that we don't induce this stress response that just creates a worsening of that symptomology. And of course, it's not easy, and so we have to move forward with compassion. We all fall into stress from time to time. I myself have had several, moments of nervous system overload in fear-based whatever purges, right? All of this fear comes up from within inside of me, and my nervous system freaks out, and it's a shutdown moment or two where I have to really take myself off to self-regulate, right? I can't manage to keep functioning in the way that I would like to, and I need to go for a walk, or I need to have a shower, or I need to go to bed, or I need to do some other exercise, or I need to have a moment of really feeling into the overwhelming sense of dread or fear or discomfort, and then reprioritize, reperspectivize what's truly happening here. This is just a big release. I don't need to take this too seriously. I can, choose to consciously relax my body. I can use techniques to soften my body and allow my nervous system to regulate so that I can get a handle on this experience. And so this is what we're all moving through. This is the process. It's not all fucking milk and honey out there at the moment, that is for sure. So moving backwards through your question, I will get to you in a second, Jill. Moving backwards through your question, how to stay in that place of being our dreams already experienced. Again, it's just a discipline, really, to stay consistent with that choice. It's a choice, right, to stay in a place of being. We're always going to get pushed out of it. We're never going to stay in it 100% of the time. It's just how much can we stay in it, right? And it's not a competition, and there's no particular threshold. When you get over 70%, then life gets better. It might be over 30% and life gets significantly better for you. It doesn't really matter. The percentage doesn't matter, because we have an infinite capacity to be in our being. We don't even know what our being is. That being is infinite. So to stay in that place of being is an infinitely expansive journey. So there's no pass or fail on that, right? There's no pass or fail on that. It's just a choice to keep to use ritual if you need to, right? To have journaling practices, to have meditation practices, to take time before you fall to sleep, whatever it might be, to reconnect with your being and to reconnect with those dreams, and to relax into their expansive nature, right? Not to want them to come, and not to try hard to manifest them or try hard to raise your vibration. Trying hard to raise your vibration doesn't work. Your vibration naturally raises when you relax into your being. To naturally relax into our being, we have to trust to a degree that we are fundamentally safe as the being. And that's not easy, because our egoic personality self feels threatened at the moment, because all of the structures are falling apart. And so how do we manage this juxtaposition between our external reality and our internal experience through the personality self of this reality, this illusional world that we're living in here, and remembering the deeper sense of who we be, right? And that's a choice to do spiritual practices, right? That's a choice to do your yoga nidras, to do your meditations, to do your yoga practices with an intent to experience your beingness flowing through the physical manifestation, rather than get totally fixated on the human, on the personality, right? How do we relax a little bit out of that fixation? Of course, it's natural for the ego to lead while we're in body, and when we're awake and conscious and moving around the world, of course our ego is leading. That's how it should be. So, but we can moderate that to great effect for our sense of calm and peace in ourselves by consistently choosing to remember. Consistently doesn't mean constantly, by the way, right? It means periodically, but consistently, not just randomly. Consistently remembering who we be on a deeper level, and choosing to breathe into that, right? To expand into that and to relax into that, to expand into that and to relax into that. And, 2, 3, 4 breaths of expanding into my beingness, consciously choosing to align myself. That's just an intent. My intention is to align my experience with the truth of my being. And then I relax into how that's going to unfold, because I can't control that. I don't know exactly how it's going to be, because I don't really know my beingness in fullness yet, of course, because it's an ongoing experience. But step by step, I'm experiencing more of my being flowing through my human expression here, because I'm choosing that consistently. Not constantly, right, but consistently. So that's the game. That's the game. It's to set up practices that help us do that. That's how we, lost your question now. That's how we stay in that place, and understand that stay in that place is not 100% of the time. Not for anyone on this planet, not the Dalai Lama, not anyone, right? No one is staying in that place of being 100% of the time, and it's not necessary, and it's not even it's not even beneficial for you to stay in that place of being 100% of the time, because then you would miss out on the human experience of being embodied in a human, experience, and with the personality and all of the emotions that are so beautiful for our soul to experience through this body. We're not here to belittle this human experience. We're here to basically accentuate it in a way so it's more empowered, right? That we are more in command of our experience, not controlling the shit out of it so that we avoid all discomfort. That's not the point at all. We are to allow all sorts of awesome opportunities, challenging opportunities to arise, beautiful, joyful ones, and painful, sad ones. All are part of the rich tapestry of being embodied as a human, which is all very exciting and beautiful and beneficial for us as the being. We're here we're here not so much to transcend the human experience, but to transcend the degree of suffering and delusion that we've lost ourselves in over this dark age of the last few thousand years. So, and that's a process, right? And there's no real rush, and there's no real pass or fail. The point is for you, Paul, and many others like you, is to stop being so fucking hard on yourself, right? Stop being so self-critical. Stop trying to achieve something, thinking that in that achievement will be your happiness, right? Because your happiness is available right now as you choose to relax into your being. And of course, that happiness might be fleeting, right? Because again, thoughts and doubts will come up, and all sorts of self-criticism will arise, and all sorts of low self-worth and shit will be in your presence. And you get the choice to relax through that again and allow the joy to once again emerge. And again, it will be fleeting. And this is the process. And slowly but surely, we gain more of a foundation in that faith in our beingness, rather than get rocked so heavily by the doubts and the fears that arise and the various pains, whether they're manifesting physically, mentally, or emotionally. Maybe a Libra influence. Okay, I'll read the comment from above. So hopefully that helped, Paul. First and foremost is let go of the belief that faith cannot exist where there are doubts, because truly you can very much honor the faith that you have and still experience many, many doubts. So don't judge yourself as losing faith every time a doubt pops into your mind, right? Because that's a no-win situation, right? Just as much as, we don't lose our confidence just because we're in doubt. It's very normal to be doubting. Confidence and faith is the ability to basically step past the doubts, not to avoid them, not to push them away or compress them. Well and truly. So, my friends, I'm going to move on here. Hopefully that all helps. Thank you very much for contributing to the conversation this morning. I wish you much love, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye for now. If you need help, reach out.